Hi, I'm Seipati Tshabalala, and yeah.
What are your views on men are trash?
Okay, my views on men are trash can be like separated into like the logical and theoretic and academically backed, like why hashtag men are trash is good, and then there's the personal view, which is how I feel about men are trash and why I believe in men are trash. So I'll start with like the theoretical, which I'll try to keep like really short. My theoretical understanding and my views on men are trash is that this movement is speaking to male privilege, male domination, I guess, male reinforcement by society over and over of masculinity is king and masculinity is gold. So we say men are trash. Now recently in the South African context, we say men are trash because we're faced with many cases of people who are being like beaten, people are being killed, people are being raped by their lovers who are men. You know what I'm saying? And the statistics, as much as some other men might rise up and say, no, look, also men get raped as well. No, babes. The statistics say yes, men get raped, but majority of rape cases happen and are done by men to women and other bodies, right? So men are trash in that sense is us identifying the fact that this is a problem. The violence that is inflicted by men is a problem because definitely you're killing us, you're hurting us here. Also, men are not willing to face up to this fact. Men are not willing to account for their actions in this regard. Men are allowed to get off with a slap on the wrist for killing their girlfriends, and then they claim that they're mentally ill, so they must get special sentences in prison. You know what I'm saying? Men are allowed to do things like that, and I think I think it also speaks to the fact that because society is necessarily masculine and it's whatever we do is informed by an old white man's thinking on what an institution should look like or what a system should look like. So definitely those old white thinkers who influence how we look at democracy, who influence how we look at just life, like family norms, like the dynamics that shape our society were set up by a man. So when we're faced with situations of violence and stuff like that, and we have to address the fact that men are inflicting it, it's difficult for the system to bring justice to victims because the system is necessarily male. So I think the hashtag men are trash trend, white people might call it, but movement more specifically, as it should be recognized, is really us trying to wave a flag and say, look, something's wrong here. Some gender is being prioritized over every other gender, and this gender's behavior is definitely influencing everyone else's lives, and they're going unchecked, and it's wrong, and they need to be checked. So that's the more theoretical side of how I understand men are trash. On a personal level, I affirm and I always say that men are trash just because of my own experiences with patriarchs, with problematic men, with even family. People ask, so if you say men are trash, are you saying your own father's trash? Absolutely, babes, yes. My dad is trash, my grandfather's trash. Absolutely, because they have trash behavior. Even in an African context, as much as we might try to run away from some of the problems that face us, and maybe it is influenced by a white systematic understanding of family and patriarch heads up a family and whatnot flows from the man. But I think even in our African culture, we perpetuate trashy male behavior, like, yes, Mamako might say that my chick about you also says it's Mamako, Madam Chica, and he's calling her to order booty, Kalisam statue like him, daughter, So yeah, I think on a personal level, my views on men are trash are that yes, they are trash, and I think men need to come out of the frail masculinity that they are clinging to in denying that they are trash or denying the statement, and just acknowledge that, look, similar to how white people need to acknowledge the fact that because of your race, the system prioritizes you and it gives you privileges and it propels you to success that other people aren't propelled to. Men need to take that step back and recognize that, look, the fact that I even have hair on my face means that my voice will come out different, which means that my views and my thinking and my ideas will be prioritized over another person who may be, you know, a woman or not gender conforming or any other body. And you need to, it's just simple, just recognize that I'm a male, therefore I am benefiting from systematic privilege that is geared towards men. And then you start taking active steps to prevent yourself from perpetuating men are trash things. So I mean, in us saying that men are trash and wanting you to acknowledge it and fighting with our boyfriends about it, we're not saying that you are necessarily a completely trash human being. We're just saying that you need to recognize that in some cases, my love, you as a man, your voice rings louder than mine. Your actions, whatever you want, is going to steer people towards you in a different way. And you need to stop that. You need to stop perpetuating that. So even in a context of a relationship, you need to acknowledge the fact that you can't, I don't know, like you need to acknowledge the fact that there are gender norms in society that will prioritize you making certain decisions. But you need to stop. You need to make an active decision that I will not be trash. I will not continue to be trash. I will not continue to perpetuate trashy behavior and say, look, I'm not going to do that. We are equals. I'm not going to violate you. I'm not going to take sex from you when you're not willing to give it to me. I'm going to respect you. You're a human being in your, like, you're equal to me. And yeah, I guess, yeah, I went on forever, but that's my view. Yeah.
What do you think is the imagination of the Men Are Trash movement?
So imagination is a very tricky word for me to understand with this question, right? But I think you're asking what is maybe the thinking behind the Men Are Trash movement, to which I think I've given a lot of answers in my explanation of my views. But I'll keep motivating and, you know, answer what I what I believe, you know, the thinking behind everyone who's affirming that hashtag Men Are Trash is. I think the reason why it's becoming a thing and a movement now is that, you know, I think specifically in an institutional setting, like in the UCT setting where we're speaking about what's happening in tertiary institutions, a movement like Freeze Must Fall happened, you know what I'm saying? And that got people speaking about things. Sorry, Roads Must Fall happened, the catalyst, right? And it got people talking about certain things. And under that same umbrella, other topics came up. Like, okay, so what is the problem? Colonialism and perpetuating the white supremacy of white male and females, whatever, white people. Then we also recognize that, hey, actually this education system is not okay, and it's adding to that. So we said, no, we must decolonize our education. So these are things that are coming up out of these movements. I think in that same breath, you know, under the patriarchy must fall, came that conversation of, hey, actually guys, men are trash. And I think the imagination of movements like this is to actually stop society in its tracks and to stop us from perpetuating these things and to have a conversation that will enable us to change. So in an effort for us to, you know, I know I conversate about Men Are Trash because as someone in leadership, I mean, as a whole SRC president, I get questions. Why are you president? Why is it Masculine-land? and you know, it comes from the patriarchal voices, you know, that influence even the movement that is Freeze Must Fall. So I mean, the thinking behind me saying Men Are Trash is to actually stop them and say, look, you have a false image of what a leader is. You think that someone who can raise their voice, someone who has a penis between their legs, someone who's this certain height. I mean, I'm also quite short. So, you know, it doesn't make sense. I'm not a typical leader, you know. And yeah, so we reaffirm that, look, men are trash. You guys have been prioritized. You've been given opportunity. I mean, in as much as we say that we want women leaders, we also recognize that sometimes we fail to find adequate numbers of women leaders just because they've been so marginalized in every space. Like, they haven't been given an opportunity to be a leader. I myself had to confront the fact that, you know, I'm not as good at political, you know, like pronunciations and, you know, that statement, that krikum krakum. I'm not that great at that. I believe I'm good, I'm working on it, and I'm not that great at that, and I rely on other people to help me somewhat, you know, people who are willing to help me there. Because I haven't had that opportunity to do that. Nowhere in my life was I asked, you know, make a statement on the following. No, I've been asked to read a statement made by a man. Like, that's as far as it goes. Like, I've never, so I mean, we say hashtag Men Are Trash now to affirm that, look guys, You need to stop this thing of prioritizing men. It's marginalizing everyone else. So in a leadership context, we need more females to be given opportunities. We need other bodies to be given opportunities, like people of other genders to be given opportunities. People who are non-gender conforming, let them lead. Like, let everyone come and have a seat at the table, not just men. So.
Thirdly, what do you think is the influence of pop culture and or art and mainstream media on the perpetuation of trash behavior in the context of hashtag?
Okay, please repeat that first part again.
First part.
Yeah.
What do you think is the influence of pop culture and or art and mainstream media on the perpetuation of trash behavior?
I think we can ask that question for everything in society that perpetuates trash behavior. And I think we all know this answer. Who controls the thinking? Whoever controls the thinking controls the system that enforces that thinking, controls the resources that protect and reinforce that thinking. So let's look at who's influencing a simple thing like retail. The retail industry, right, is very big. Let's even bring it to just a simple South African context. It's a very big industry, brings in billions and billions of rands. But who controls the markets, the businesses that like send out and sell us these things? Men. Who controls Safshin Khasi? Who controls Kanye? White men. So even in that case, like, the person who's controlling the resources is going to control the advertising image that comes out of there, right? So if a white man owns Garnier, owns Nivea, whatever company that is to sell to women, then obviously that white male narrative will influence the advertising. And when we do see change, it's only to mimic and to lie to us so that we can buy products. So now we see the change in that companies are like, talking to the black demographic. They have that curly hair on their adverts. Abo Burberry, Abo, Tresemme even has a new African type line. What is it? Johnson & Johnson has a whole conditioner range for black hair. Why? A simple movement, black hair is beautiful. Social media. Now they're trying to mimic, now they're trying to assimilate. Okay, sure. You see, that's what they want. Let's put that image out there. So definitely, it's still very much white and monopolized and used to marginalize us. It's just, okay, you're complaining that I don't have enough black dolls in my store. Okay, sure. Let me just give you those few black dolls.